there, everybody. Welcome back to another segment of Weather in the Bible. But before we get to Weather in the Bible, let's take a look at today's forecast. Jamie.
Well, today's forecast, you're going to see a massive high pressure system moving in, and we are looking at some rain in this part, some rain in this part, some rain here. Actually, you know what? We're just going to have rain all over the place.
And instead of your regular 7-day forecast, Jamie, how long does this rain forecast last?
Well, we are going with an extended forecast this time around, and we're looking at least 40 days and 40 nights of this kind of weather.
So no more perfection, no more biodome, no more paradise.
More perfection. Last week, remember, we talked about this perfect atmosphere of weather that we would have had in creation. Obviously, once sin entered the world, that was gone. While we don't know for sure, there's no biblical reason for us to not assume that they still didn't have rain. That while they still had plants to care for and to water, they had to work for that water. They had to talk about irrigation and
still not pulling out the hose, but
nope.
Maybe a bucket or two had to be
brought
from the river to be watering things. So,
but that's all about to change because, as you can see from our extended forecast, we've got some rain coming up.
So when you're taught the story of Noah and the flood as a little kid, you just believe that everything was normal. Everything, they knew what rain was, and that Noah was just a God-fearing man and trusted that God said, build this big boat out in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to send the flood rain because the world is evil and I am going to start over. So you just, like Noah, believe and trust in God that that's how it was. But as adults, we kind of throw in a question or a wonder here and then. And so now we're wondering, like, okay, in the beginning it said a mist, everything from the ground up was watered. So now it kind of makes even more sense that when Noah, who is building this big old boat out in the middle of dry land, is going, it's gonna rain. Change your ways, trust in God. They're making fun of him because they didn't even know what rain was. They did not know physical rain like we know rain coming down from the sky.
Yeah, so as if it wasn't crazy enough for him to be building this massive boat, which I'm guessing they probably didn't even have boats.
Right?
They're building this massive boat, and he's telling the people that it's gonna rain, and they're going, huh? You know, they already think he's crazy. He's already struggling to make sure everything gets done in the time frame God has given him. But this is a whole world that nobody had experienced yet.
So Noah's got the boat built. He's got 2 of every animal. And now that little song we sang as children, the rains came down and the floods came up, comes into play because it's time for the rain to start. Now, if you think about it, the rain coming down from the sky, oh my gosh, to cover the entire world would have been a lot more than the 40 days. Now, granted, it's God, so he does his thing.
He has his ways.
But he used it to come faster. So the rains came down and the floods came up. That means all of the water in the land, under the land, around the land also let loose. So springs, rivers, lakes,
things that are underground
that you couldn't even see, all of a sudden just started coming up through the land.
Yeah, and so now we have enough water that is covering the entire earth. So it rains for 40 days, it rains for 40 nights. The rain stops, but we still have to wait for the waters to recede. If you've ever been around when there's been a whole bunch of rain and there's flooding, you know that the rains can stop, but it's still a few days before the rivers crest or get to their highest level. And then it's still a few days before they start to go back down where people can get into their homes or their businesses and whatnot. So Noah and his family then are on the boat for 150 days before, once the rain stops, they're on the boat for 150 days before the waters recede enough that they can get back out.
So, do you think that nowadays we still have access to water from the flood? The answer is yes. Why?
Well, when the waters would have receded, we would have been left with the bodies of water that we have now. So things like our oceans and our lakes, perhaps even Lake Michigan, our rivers and our streams. These waters are all waters that have been left from the time of the flood.
So Jamie and I are going to leave a link at the end here just a couple more things that you guys can explore, look at. If you have questions about, feel free to ask. But it's stuff that Jamie sends home with her confirmation kids to learn and study more, just more questions about the flood and explain in a little bit different of a way. So make sure you follow that link. But then join us next week as we take a closer look at another weather phenomenon in the Bible. And hopefully we don't have any more of these 40-day.
Yeah, no, it clears up after 40 days.
Not back to paradise, but
No, not that
sunny
good.
days are on the horizon. We'll catch you next time as we study weather in the Bible.